How's it going, everyone? It's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Today, guys, we're going to be fighting Nakarkos, the elder dragon that is supposed to be like the in-game dragon to that of Monster Hunter Generations and Generations Ultimate. However, there's a few others who come in after him. Regardless, though, when going through the village quest, you are able to actually fight him initially for the first time. However, all you're going to be able to do is repel him. So in that particular regard, you can fight him in low rank. Now, once you get into high rank, you actually have to fight him for real, and you have to actually defeat him this time. There's also the G rank, of course, which we're actually going to be fighting him right now. This is the G rank version of that monster, essentially. For the most part, understand that they're all the same. The only real difference is that, more attack, more damage, etc. There's a couple of different attacks that it actually has. We will talk about those in brief when we get to those particular attacks and whatnot. Now, first and foremost, let's say this. He is an elder dragon, which all of you may have known by now thus far, that elder dragons are susceptible to that of their own particular element that's in their own actual name, i.e. dragon. So, with that said, you can use the dragon elemental weapons to come in here and do relatively decent amount of damage against them. However, if you don't have any dragon, you can't come in here with some bit of fire, and it'll also do very well. Now, of course, to do the most damage, you're going to want to hit him in his weak spots, and his weak spot is, believe it or not, only his head. He has other parts of his body you can actually attack. However, they won't really do that much extra damage to them, because for the most part, the only things you're really going to be actually attacking him are his feelers, the long tentacle things that you see him throw and flail around all over the place. These are what you're really going to actually attack for the most part when you fight this monster. You can attack him in the head if you want someone to actually run up in his head and actually do that particular amount of damage. However, I only recommend you do so after you at least knock out one feeler, because if not, he has this, I would call it a gas? A cloud. He has this mucus, okay? We're going to talk about this mucus really quickly. He has this mucus about him that if you are within the mucus, it will drain your health. Now, not your actual health, but it will replace your green health with red health, meaning you can still get all this health back if you take something that restores your red health. I think a sushi fish in this particular case, you will get all your health back. However, it has the ability to actually knock out all your green health, so if you take any small amount of damage, you're going to lose all your health and have to re-heal yourself from the beginning. So that's one thing you have to actually watch out for when you fight him in the face. But if you break a tentacle or a feeler, if you will, he won't have this particular cloud. Or you can just attack him when he doesn't have this particular cloud, which you probably won't have it when he's not enraged. Speaking of enraged, though, when my man gets really mad, everything shows. He will go into what I like to lovingly refer to as phase 2.5. Not quite 3, but 2.5. It's just phase 2 when he's mad. And the area that you're actually in will change a completely different color. I believe it's like a bluish hue, but everything else gets really dark, and it looks very luminescent, bioluminescent, if you will. And he gets very mad and does a lot of really strong and powerful attacks. Now, a lot of these powerful attacks that he actually can do, he actually gains from other monsters within the game. Now, if I'm to be very I don't know all the way. I don't know his lore too deeply. I know you guys probably come in for that, but this is about fighting the monster. I will say this though, he has abilities from many other monsters within the game. He will dig his tentacles into the ground and come up with what seems to be let's just call it a relic from a monster that is not necessarily himself. You will find the chin of Urigan, the beak of Astalos, and so on and so forth. Different monster parts that you would usually see on different monsters as opposed to him. Now, his main thing is he actually likes to eat and keep wyvern bones and body parts and everything here. That's why you see bones and stuff everywhere. So I'm pretty sure he keeps these particular organs, I guess you could say, the relics, if you will, that allow him to actually manipulate the same abilities these monsters had previously before. So with these new extra abilities that the monster has, he can actually paralyze you, he can poison you, he can use a multitude of different attacks that you see other monsters use, like the Brachiodos fists and the electricity from that of the Astalos that can also paralyze you and shock you as well. He has a ton of these really weird attacks, but in order to actually negate him from doing any of these things, throw a Sonic Bomb. Sounds weird, but throw a Sonic Bomb, and the item that he's actually holding in his hand, feeler, I guess you could say, that will give him this ability will break off, and then he goes back to ground zero. Now, with that said, let's talk about his gear, because that's essentially everything you really need to know about Nakarkos. There's a couple other things in there that I'm kind of missing, but for the most part, you'll get the gist. Honestly, fight the tentacles, guys. Fight the feelers. Do that until he falls over, and then blow his face off. Oh, speaking of blowing your face off, things coming from the face, he will get pissed. And when he gets pissed in 2.5 phase, he will unleash this massive beam, this dragon beam. If you see it from a distance, it is a sight to behold. It is so beautiful, it's so awe-inspiring, and it will probably kill you in one hit no matter what you do. I don't think I've ever survived a hit from it, but I might have once before. However, it's a very powerful attack, so you really want to watch out for it. In order to get him to stop doing it because it is a concentrated beam, meaning he will let it rip, and it'll be ripped for about a good 4 seconds. To get him to stop doing this, throw a trank bomb. Now for the old guys out there, Yama, you remember Yama? Same joint. Throw the trank bombs and he'll just stop doing it. So if you are fighting him and you see him go into his Omega mode and you see him get really pissed off and you see him throw out the beam, throw the trank bombs, he'll stop with the beam. But if you don't and you get hit with it, you're a goner. With that being said, let's take a quick little look at his gear. Now, I will say that before we get into real deep stuff, his gear is pretty gosh darn good, and he has 2 different armor sets. His armor set number 1 being skeletal, and armor set number 2 being astral. I refer to these as granola bar and milkman armor respectfully, and I refer to this monster himself as granola bar. Why? These are the nicknames that I give, and it's just what I do. I'm weird like that. Regardless, off the top, we're getting the skeletal armor. This is the low range one I'm talking about. Gives you resentment and fortify. What resentment does is if you have red health, you get an attack boost. What does that mean? Whenever you get hit by a monster, you are going to take green health damage and red health damage. If you have red health, the red portion, you have the red portion, you get an attack large bonus and boost. Same words. That's what I tried to say, and I got boast, and that's not the right word. Regardless, that's what you get. Now, fortified, that's the skill you get whenever you cart. You get an attack and defense bonus increase. So what people like to do is, it's permanent too. So you cart, and then you cart again, and then you get the double bonus, and then you get the resentment bonus on the attack. A lot of attack if you ask me. Now, moving over to the skeletal joint, the skeletal R joint, the high rank variant I should say, gives you resentment, resuscitate, and recovery speed down 2. This is when it gets good. Resuscitate, what it does, since we already know what resentment does, what resuscitate does is if you are afflicted with an ailment, you get an attack bonus. That's good. So if you're on fire, if you're poisoned, if you're paralyzed, so on and so forth, you get an attack bonus. Now, recovery speed down 2, what is good for that is resuscitate. Red health gets restored automatically by itself if you take no damage. What recovery speed down 2 does, it makes it take a lot longer for it to be recovered, so that way you keep your red health attack bonus. See? Kind of slappy. Alright, moving over to the astral zone, we have Trump Card, Compose, and Devil's Whim. Trump Card allows you to actually have an increased bonus to whatever skills you have, arts you have. So for example, if you use Absolute Evasion, like I love to use Absolute Evasion, what a Trump Card will give you is it'll allow you to, instead of just evading once, you get to evade twice in one button press. So let's say you press the button once, you evade 1 time. This time you get to press the button once and you evade 2 times. It's like he'll do the flip and then he'll do another flip. And it works differently for different other arts as well, but just understand it gives you a bonus, a boost to your particular Hunter arts that's actually equipped. Now, moving to Compose. Compose makes sure you get your Hunter arts even quicker. So I mean, these 2 skills, they kind of go together, they work very well together. Now, Devil's Whim, it's a negative skill. Essentially what it does is if you use horns or pickaxes or bug nets, they're going to break super easy. So the thing is, just don't use them when you wear this armor set. Now, moving to the G-rank joints, we have the Grand Skeletal Joint. It actually is all 3 skills from the high and the low together, combined into 1 armor set. And if we go over to the G-rank joint to the Astral, it is Trump Card, Compose, Elementary. It's a weird skill. It's called Amplify. It gives you elemental attack up and item use up. I can't really figure out a good use for it, but, you know, it's 2 skills slapped together, and elemental attack up is pretty nice. And then you get Prolonged SP. So if you use SP Hunter Arts, it increases the distance. It increases the time in which you actually get your SP bonus. Now, with the armor sets out the way, let's talk briefly about the weapons, and his weapons are pretty slaptastic. I will say 2 things, though. Because he has 2 armor sets, he has 2 weapon types. 2 weapon sets? 2 weapon sets, okay? He has the Milkman weapon sets, and he has the Granola Bar Bony weapon sets. Now, the Bony joints, they have a lot of attack, but a lot of negative affinity. What the Milkman joints does, they don't have a whole lot of attack, but they got a mad amount of blue sharpness. It's ridiculous. I mean, back in Generations, I'm not gonna say they were OP, but they were very nice. They were nice, pretty much so. Yes. And even in the G-rank joints, they actually still keep the same trend going. However, in this case, they have white on top of things. But let's get down to the real numbers, because just giving you a generalization isn't gonna really help that much. So I'm gonna give you a quick breakdown on the numbers per usual, you know. And there's only 2 real numbers that you really need to understand: 380 and 310. Essentially, that is the attack for both the skeletal weapons and the astral weapons. They almost all have the same exact attack. 380. That's the highest in the game. However, the negative to it is that it has negative 25 affinity and only goes to green sharpness. by itself, which I'm supposed to. I think it goes to like blue or something like that, or a thing like white. I didn't check. I didn't double check. I'm sorry. Not super professional. But the thing is this: 380 and 310. 310 giving you incredible amounts of blue, a little bit of white, and some purple. This is all natural, but I should say the astral weapons are naturally purple, tiny purple, a decent amount of white, and incredibly long amounts of blue. That's just the game it plays. For the bone joints, the skeletal joints, you get green, some green, I guess, and that's essentially it. They're really great for bludgeoneer sets, but then again, who still runs bludgeoneer? I know, right? Yeah, it's kind of weird. But if you are that kind of person, these weapons are going to be really, really good for you. And honestly, they're easier to get than that of murder blows, and we will talk about murder blows when we get to murder blows. So there you go. So for 380, it's probably the quickest and easiest way to get 380 on essentially any weapon you want, because he has a weapon in every single category, both the skeletal and the astral joint. So you can get 380 anything. Like, oh wait, I think it's Insect Glaive and Hunting Horn only get 370. But everybody else gets 380. So yeah, that's pretty dope when it comes down to it. His weapons are mad strong, and they're actually very, very good. The element on the astral is less than that of the skeletal, but then again, I mean, the fact that you have natural purple and 310 attack naturally is pretty good in and of itself. So with that being said, the Nakarkos is an elder dragon. He gives you a pretty decent run for his money because he likes to switch things up very drastically, because he has a lot of different ways to attack you, meaning he's exceedingly versatile, pretty tough in the beginning, but once you get to fight him quite a few times, because you're really going to want to at least get some of the armor, or definitely at least one of his weapons, he could very well become a bit of a boring monster to fight. However, I'll admit that he's not my favorite Elder Dragon. He's one of the ones that I don't really like fighting too much. I just want to get what I need to get and then not fight him again, because going through the multiple phases, they tend to grind. Well, not grind. Grind? Way. It gets a bit of annoying. It gets slightly annoying. But anyway, that's all I really need to tell you guys about the Nakarkos. That's essentially it. And if you guys want to see more about Nakarkos, I have another video about Nakarkos in Monster Hunter Generations, where I kind of go over essentially the same thing. If you want to check that out, you can check that out if you like. However, now that we're at the end of this, I want to talk to you guys about something random. When I was just looking up Nakarkos stuff, I needed to actually hit confirm a couple of things. So I actually Googled Nakarkos by himself, and I went to the Monster Hunter wiki. And the featured video, the featured video for Nakarkos is actually my video, which is pretty freaking awesome. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm one of the best people out there to do what I do, but it's really cool to see that my video was featured as the video for Nakarkos. It's my Generations video of Nakarkos. I don't remember how good that video was. I'm pretty sure it's kind of rough around the edges, because since then I've changed, and I feel like I'm a much better commentator now than I was before. But it's kind of cool to note that my video is featured on Nakarkos, and not someone else's like Gaijin Hunter or somebody else's kind of OD like that in the community. But it's cool to see that I was at least considered. But anyway, it's been your boy. I'll talk to you all later. Peace.